Welcome back to Queensland Raceway and our final race on the Cotai Ipswich Super Sprint for 2016. The Kumho Tyre V8 Touring Car Series, an 18-lap race number 3. Culmination of the points from race 1 and 2. Tony D'Alberto alongside me for this one. And we saw Tyler Greenbury, the car further down the field. He fried the clutch in the second race of the weekend, first one of today, and expecting big things for him in this final race.
Yeah, we certainly are. He's starting back in 7th position, but he's got the freshest tyre of the front group, so expect him to come through. Taz Douglas, Chris Murden at the front row, Jim Policena, Josh Smith, second row, and Michael Anderson, Shane Hunt, row 3. We go to row 6 there, Dean Kovacevic, Steve Briffa, row 7, Andy Cantrell, and Michael Kane.
Cantrell's car been in the wars this weekend, fair to say. It's a little oil trail on the track during race number 2 earlier. This is Tyler Greenbury in the Image Racing Lubrimax Edge-sponsored Falcon. Saw him wander back to the pits, retiring early in race number 2 today, starting down the field in 7th position. So an extra 5 laps for these guys today on tyres that will be starting to see the wrong side of cool.
They certainly will. The thing with the track at the moment, it's just had a big supercar race on, so there'll be a lot of debris offline. So these first couple of laps, when they're jostling for position, trying to get their back into sort of the race line, they've got to be a little bit careful.
Been very impressed with this guy, 30-year-old Michael Anderson, working his way around the Kenwood Homes Falcon. He'll start out of position number 5 for the final race. And Hunt has also been quiet, but he's been there. He's been close to some of the incidents that have been going on. He starts at a 6 for this one. There is Anderson in the Kenwood Homes Falcon, pulling up into his position. Jack Sipp will start out at 10th position. Had engine dramas earlier on today. The Uni Chip Holden.
Now, Smurden has been the starter for the weekend, and he's actually on the clean side of the circuit. So Taz is going to have to get a really good getaway to try and get in front of Smurden into turn 1.
Final car into position. It'll be Brendan Strong. There is Andy Cantrell's Ford Credit Falcon in the back. Green flag waves at the back, 5 seconds away from the final race here at Queensland Raceway in Ipswich, and it's lights out. This time Chris Smurden has been the king of the starts. He's going to go side by side here with Taz Douglas. He's going to get him into turn number 1.
Awesome start. So that car's got traction control. Now he's just got to hold on to it. Taz, though, is already having a look up the inside.
So the wily veteran doing a great job here. Into turn number 2 for the first time. The Irwin Tools Falcon leads Taz Douglas, who's won everything so far in the Kumho Tyre V8 Touring Car Series this season.
Jim Policena already up to P3 as well. We saw some great form from him in race 2. And Josh Smith making a big lunge down the inside. Wheels locked.
And gets it done. Only just the car spinning in the background. It is Jack Sipp. He's going to spin his way, creates a massive dust cloud. The Unitip Holden spins himself to the back of the field. It's now Douglas. Puts the THR Developments Holden down the inside and muscles his way up into the lead.
Got that done pretty quick there. Shame to see Jack Sipp there turn around down turn 3. Little bit of motocross work to try and get the car back online.
Tyler Greenbury up to 5th position. There's that big dust cloud left-hand side at turn 3 from Jack Sipp's car. It spins back to 14th place. They come through to complete lap number 1. That's Josh Smith ahead. And lots of soft rubber left over from the Virgin Australia Supercar, so it's going to make the racing line a lot narrower for race number 3 here. It was evident down there at turn 5.
Absolutely, the track will be an absolute mess at the moment. Good thing is, though, the sun's starting to go down, so the track should cool a little bit. And we're going to see a replay here of what happened. Jack Sipp, maybe.
Plenty of lock-up having. He went all on his own down there. Spun around not once, but twice. Kept the foot into it because it's a very deep gravel trap down there at turn 3. Unfortunately, drops him right to the back of the field, but brings a lot of dirt and dust back onto the course down there at 3. And that's when you saw Douglas take the lead off Chris Smurden, who's now been passed around the outside by Jim Policena. Watch the switchback here.
Jim's up the inside, but he backs out of it. Probably would have made contact, but he's put himself very vulnerable down into turn 6 now. Josh Smith's going to have a crack.
Gets Policena into the mix. This is Tyler Greenbury. Moves down the inside, the man from Townsville. And they'll go side by side. Saw plenty of this in race 17 of the championship just a few moments ago.
We certainly did. A tough little scenario there for Josh. He was trying to make a move on Jim Policena, but also protect his line from Tyler. And Tyler just pulled himself back a little bit. Got the nose on the inside there for turn 6 and managed to get that position.
Like you pointed out before, Tyler's tyres are going to be better than the guys around him right now. He's going to nurse them for an extra 5 laps. Shadows appearing on the backside of Queensland Raceway. We work lap number 3. It's 2.96 seconds from a long way back. Policina to the inside of Smurden and gets up to second. And Greenbury wants a slice of the action too.
It's really important for Greenbury to try and make his way through this traffic as quickly as he can, so Taz doesn't have a chance to actually extend his lead. I just saw Taz lock a tyre on the inside front tyre into turn 3, so he might be struggling with tyres. These tyres have done a lot of laps now, so we've got 18 laps in this race. By the end of it, they'll be pretty buggered.
One way to describe it anyway. Steve Briffa has got ahead of Michael Anderson, so he's dropped a couple of positions in the Kenwood Homes Falcon. Meantime, Policina, Greenbury and Smith. Here is Chris Smurden, suddenly finds himself in 5th after getting a rocket ship start from the front row. He's now starting to fall back into the clutches of Hunt and Briffa on the charge in the Poco Holden.
Now we saw Policina in race 2. Let's just see this replay for a second here. Josh Smith up the inside of Smurden. Made it look pretty easy. Good job. Yeah, we saw Jim Policina close that gap to Taz, so that car seems to have very good tyre life over the stint. So see if Tyler can get around Jim.
Down to turn 3, Policina works his way back out of turn 3. Be right on board with the Greenbury number 13 Falcon.
A little bit of rear lock there, just didn't quite get it into gear. Back to second there. Still got a lot of laps to go, so they do need to look after these tyres a little bit.
Looks strong here, doesn't he? Looks really strong on the run down to turn number 6, and Policina knows it, goes in the defensive. Policina with a load of experience in the Kumo series. The guy who's fresh out of karts, won many, many championships, pulls out and tries to make the pass down the high-speed approach down into turn 1. Gets it done nicely. Up to second place now for car 13.
Jim's going to try and do the cross back, but didn't quite get it done. Tyler now, head down, try and pull in Taz Douglas. Now, I believe if Taz wins this race, he's going to set some sort of record. Is that right? Yeah, it'll be 9 races in succession. Hasn't been done before. Cements himself nicely at the top of this championship. This is Anderson looking to start moving up the field. That's Steve Briffa, left-hand side. Ex-Paul Morris Motorsport Holden. And a car going off, and that's Smith. So all that good work for Smith puts him behind Briffa. And we'll see Kane get ahead of him too. One little mistake can cost you plenty. Certainly can. Oh, it's all getting a little bit messy down there at turn 4.
Oh, corrects it. Anderson I speak of through the left-hander, and now they chase Smurden. So Smurden back to 4th spot, and Hunt in the ex-Paul Radisich Better Electrical Falcon from 2004. Right on the back of him, down into the final turn. Steve Briffa, who was put rear of field for the second race this morning after contact in race number 1 yesterday that saw Jason Heck's Falcon go upside down.
Yeah, it was a real shame. Didn't actually get back out for the rest of the weekend, so quite a bit of damage to that car.
Oh, and Simon Emizides with smoke coming out the back of the Simon's Earthworks. Number 88 Holden. Something dragging down there too.
Not the first time that we've seen oil on the track this weekend from these guys. We're on board now.
This is Anderson and now Hunt. Nice job, he's working his way up. This will be one of his best results, if not his best result in the Kumo series. It's ahead of Smurden. What's that dangling underneath the 88 car?
Looks like some sort of line, an oil cooler. Yeah, probably pull that in.
Looks like a toe strap even. Okay. Oh, that'll answer it. There it is. Oh, spat out the back.
It's out now. Now it's onto the circuit, so hopefully no one else collects that.
It's off the racing line, but someone tries to pass down there, they'll know all about it. That's your leaderboard, 5.6 seconds as in comes Emizides. Don't think we'll see that car back out on the track today.
So Douglas still setting the fastest laps of this race. So he's extending his lead out to 5.8 seconds over Greenbury. Thought maybe Greenbury might be able to close that gap with those fresher tyres, but hasn't been able to do it just yet. Policina, he's in position 3. He's got a nice little gap to the car behind him as well.
So Shane Hunt inside the top 5 of this race.
Oh.
Another, is that a lock-up this time for Smith? Yes, it is. He'll have to yield that position to Michael Caine, who's repaired his 37 car.
Not sure if Josh is having brake problems, but certainly having to contend with a few dramas down the braking zones this race.
And Smith trying to get back into this after going off at turn number 3. So Anderson ahead of this group. Douglas out to 6 seconds to Tyler Greenbury right now. Here's Smurden back down the inside using all of his years of experience.
Josh Smith really struggling with that car at the moment. Smurden as well. He had a blinder of a start, but unfortunately hasn't been able to carry on with it.
It couldn't be tyres this early in the race for him, surely. Oh, Hunt fights back.
We've still got 10 laps to go, so if he's struggling with tyres now, he's in a world of pain. Oh, grabs an inside front there. He might have even flat spotted a tyre and we don't know about it. Oh,
Anderson lucky to pull that car up. Plenty of opposite lock down to turn number 3, and suddenly it's on.
It's a great little battle here. Josh Smith down the inside. Wow, that's deep. He's going to try and pull that up. Beautifully done.
Did it nicely. There's a couple of positions out of that. So on he goes. Anderson. And out the windscreen of the Kenwood Homes Falcon, heading down to turn. Oh, he's got some company on the outside in Michael Caine. Seen Anthony LaChalpo drive that car earlier this year.
Josh Smith again there blocking a brake, so maybe there is a bit of a drama there, but great move down the inside of those 2 cars into turn 3. Gets himself back up to P6.
Let's talk about flat spotting tyres, because we did see that happen. More often than not, it gets the same spot each time he jumps on the brakes, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if you do lock a tyre, it literally makes it like a 50-cent piece, a flat spot on the base of the tyre. And then every time you jump back on the pedal, it wants to try and grab that spot. And if you do it bad enough, it'll go through to canvas. And obviously, it affects the grip level of the front of the car and your braking. So not ideal. And we see a lot of guys at the moment just snagging on the way to the corner. So as they trail the brake as they turn, just wants to grab that inside front and just damaging it over the race.
Good battle here for the Miners. Hunt back on Smurden here. They go turn number 3. So halfway home in the final race of the Kumo V8 Touring Car Series round at Queensland Raceway.
Josh Smith should be able to get around these guys. Whoa, big block up and down. Background there by Anderson.
Let Michael Caine. He's not going to make it easy for him.
Anderson just out in the marbles there.
What's Steve Breffer? More speed, but he's on the wrong side of the track.
This is looking dangerous.
Caine might get him here, and Breffer will line up for a piece of this too.
Anderson's done a great job this weekend. He's had a few guys attacking him, but he's sort of kept an eye on him. There's a couple of times where he hasn't turned in because he knows somebody's going to spear at his door or his back bumper. So Taz Douglas setting the fastest laps of this race, down to a 13.2. Got a healthy margin there.
Slow-mo shots down into turn 1. Looks like Jack Sipp's car. Look underneath.
Now, I know they've had a few little engine dramas over the weekend. It hasn't been quite on song. So, unfortunately, a little bit down the field at the moment, but all the laps he can do is experience for next time.
Tim just popped in before to let us know what was going on with the Unichip Holden. Runs back in 12th position. 9 to go as Chris Smurden fires the Irwin Tools Falcon down the inside of Hunt. And Smith climbing up on the curbs. And don't really recommend that down through this part of the course, but we've seen plenty of guys do it this weekend.
Yeah, Josh had a bit of a look then, and to avoid contact, he just got up on the curb to try and make the corner a bit shallow. Very good under brakes. He's really, really strong under brakes.
Here's Smith, the ex-Andy Jones car that he raced in the development series last year. He's been mentored by Andy and the Brad Jones team. The massive burnout he did at the start of race number 2 earlier today.
That looked easy.
Don't come much easier than that anyway. Moves up back into 5th position. Douglas, we haven't seen much of him in this race because he's 6 seconds clear. Nearly 7 seconds now of Tyler Greenbury. Further 5 seconds back to Policina, and then 7 seconds back to this 4-car scrap, headed by Chris Smurden.
Here he is, Taz Douglas. He looks like he's just cruising. I'm sure he's trying his hardest out there, but he's making it look that easy, setting the fastest laps, almost lap after lap. So he's got a 7.1 gap to car 2, to Greenbury. Looking nice and strong. Take that 9 wins in a row.
It's been Mr. Domination of this year's series.
Let's go on board now with Greenbury. Just fighting it on the exit a little bit, trying to get that power down. Look at the sequential gearbox. You can see the lights on the dash there. 5th gear, back to 4th for turn 1. A little bit of push there, and oversteer as well. So he's struggling on tyres at the moment. Still in 4th gear.
We have seen him work away at the steering wheel all weekend long. Is that more of a karting thing he's still trying to get out of his system, perhaps?
No, he seems to be sort of hustling that car through those corners, so might not be too happy in the high-speed sections. He's pretty smooth on the entry to some of the slower corners, but the car just doesn't seem to be behaving itself in some areas. Kane now using all the road. See if we can make this manoeuvre here.
It's on the outside. Should do it easy here. Another one of the ex-Tasman cars was their spare chassis back in 2008. So Daniel Dillison have a steer of it back in 2011, but apart from that, hasn't done much racing at all.
There's a bit of a puff of smoke there coming from the rear quarter, so I'm not sure if that's from contact or if there's an oil fitting loose or something like that. We've seen a lot of that this weekend, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Kane, a regular runner in the New South Wales State Series. He's running the Bathurst 6-hour race this year as well. Sharing driving duties in 2016. Back on board with Greenbury. Let's go for a full lap. And Tony D'Alberto, you can take us through it.
So here we are, exit of turn 1, 4th gear. He'll give it a light brake, get it to the apex here, and about midway through, you start to feed that power on. Always the cars seem to have a bit of an oversteer mid-corners, a bit of a bump. Now back down the back straight, up to 6th gear, braking around the 130 mark, and back to 2nd gear. Carry a bit of speed into the apex. You see when he picks up that throttle, now the hard bit is trying to feed that power on. 600 horsepower, and these tyres have done a lot of laps. Up to turn 4, braking past the marshalling point there, back to 2nd gear. Really important to get to the apex. Feed that power on. He'll short shift to 3rd. Nicely done. See, car's just a little bit misbehaving on the exit. Now to the final little section. Under brakes, heavy under brakes, back to 2nd. Again, carry a bit of speed in. He'll try and get back to the apex and drive off the corner as square as he can. And that's what it's like to drive a V8 supercar around Queensland Raceway.
We've got 5 more laps of this race still to go. The Kumho Tyre V8 Touring Car Series. Final race of the weekend. Their way through turn 1, and the sun's becoming a bit of an issue now late in the race.
So Greenbury there has actually done his fastest lap of the race. The lap prior to that one we just saw. So he's still trucking along pretty good. The gap's still at 7.7, so it's quite a gap there. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make that up unless something goes wrong with Taz's car, and those cars have been so reliable.
Sure have. Down this long back straight, approaching speeds of 250 kilometres per hour. A hard brake down into turn number 3. Both these cars have settled down now. We haven't seen a lock-up from Smith for a couple of laps. He's got himself back into a nice routine.
He might have just changed the brake bias. He might have had it set a little bit too far to the front. They've got that adjustability in the car where they can just wind a little bit of brake bias to the rear. Got to be a little bit careful though. You know, you've got to get that balance right, so when you do jump on the pedal, it doesn't lock either end. The problem that Josh probably faces, might have just damaged the tyre, so he's probably having to run a little bit more rear bias than what he'd like to.
Some things you need to learn as you get further in your career. I spoke too soon. Went in way too deep down the final turn.
Very aggressive under brakes. I think at the moment he's probably rushing that entry phase a little bit too much. He should be able to get round Smurden here. We've seen some really good pace from Josh Smith. I think he qualified on second, I think, at the start of the weekend there.
He did well in qualifying, finished on the podium at Winton earlier this year. Just 18 years of age, out of Townsville. An ex-Brad Jones racing car, like I said, and even carried the great Darrell Waltrip around in the passenger seat a few seasons ago up at Bathurst.
As we've mentioned this weekend, it's a big step up for Josh Smith coming out of go-karts to driving one of these big cars. So there's a lot of learning to do.
We're seeing a lot more drivers, Tony, coming out of karts and straight into this. It's a massive leap.
Huge leap. I know when I finished go-karts, went to Formula Ford, and I thought that was a big leap. You know, you're learning new circuits, much bigger vehicle to try and operate. You've got gears to change, clutch, all that sort of stuff. So it's a very foreign environment. These cars, at the best of times, even with an experienced driver, are hard to drive. So, but you know, if Josh wants to get into V8 supercars, this is where he needs to be. He needs to be doing the learning now before he gets into the Dunlop Series, which I think is probably the plan for Josh, especially joining Brad Jones Racing.
Good career ahead of him, chasing the guy that's at the other end of his career, Chris Smurden, the 59-year-old from Adelaide, 2008 Kumho Series winner. Won 8 races that year out of the 12 on hand. 5 Bathurst starts back from 94 to 99. His best result, 13th. Karen McConville had a stint with the British driver, Charlie Cox, commentator back in the British Touring Car Championship days too.
I think Josh should have a chat with Chris about his starts, how he gets the thing off the line so well. Unbelievable.
How about this? He's hanging tough there. Just can't get the drive out. Now tries to switch back. Someone in the background is having a big lose. That coming through our microphones, and that is Hunt. All the good work for the Custom Works Logistics Falcon. Turns it back around and weave his way behind the Coates High signage and back onto the track. What a shame, down to 9th.
Down to the last 2 laps here, so Josh really needs to try and make a move. He's going to get himself up into P4. It's amazing, you know, Josh has got more speed on board than Chris, but once you get tucked in that behind the car in front and you got a bit of dirty air, suddenly your car starts to misbehave, gets hot, the tyres overheat, all this sort of stuff. That's why you need to try and make the move quickly, get it done.
It's been there for quite some time, and Smurden traditionally going down the middle of the course towards the turn 3 braking point, making Smith go the long way around.
Because Smith's had quite a few lockups on braking zones, he's probably just brought his braking marker back a little bit and not as confident to attack under brakes. And unfortunately here, that's probably your biggest strength. If you can try and be strong under brakes and get that move done under brakes, that's where you're going to make your passes. Taz Douglas out in the front though, he's cleared off. He's got an 11-second lead now, so he just keeps pumping out these lap times. He's just like on a Sunday drive. Using all the circuit on the exit there. See him trailing the brake into the corner. See him working at the wheel.
Still lapping around his fastest lap. Last time by was a 1:13.45. His quickest lap was 1:13.22 and has shut this race down. The THR Developments Holden is now nearly 12 seconds clear of Tyler Greenbury, who's another 10 seconds clear of Jim Policina.
On his final lap now. So Taz will just be taking it easy. Got plenty of margin in hand. He's going to go and win this race, and that's 9 on the trot.
Sweeping through 5 for the final time. We'll be able to see Greenbury coming down out of turn number 3. Didn't get much of a race in yesterday, spent largely behind the back of the Lexus safety car. But today, it's been all Taz Douglas. 3 round wins and 9 races in succession. Taz Douglas wins here in Queensland. And it's daylight to second.
Here's Greenbury now, he's coming out of the last corner. That's a great recovery from him after a bad second race there with a clutch drama. Come home on the podium is a nice little trophy for him.
It's the 3rd spot. This will be Jim Policina, who will collect 2nd for the weekend overall, 3rd in this race. And Smurden just holding back Smith. That went for the back half of this race. to see Andy Cantrell's car finishing this race after dramas with his number 111 Ford Credit Falcon. So Douglas is your winner by 12 seconds in the final race of the Kumho Tyre Australian V8 Touring Car Series here at Queensland Raceway. Tyler Greenbury second, Policina in third, Smurden, Smith, Kane in sixth, then Briffa, Anderson, Shane Hunt, Dean Kovacevic, Jack Sipp had a big spin earlier on, Warren Millett down there in 12th, Andy Cantrell a lap down, and Simon Emizides retired early.